For those who don't already know, that it's a TV series that's supposed to be coming out in 2026 by the name of Young Nino. If anyone's not familiar with Nino, New Jack City came out in, I think, like in '92. Classic film. West starring Wesley Snipes, Ice-T, Mario Van Peebles. This film was very legendary, and and a lot of people, they captivated and gravitated towards the movie New Jack City. Watching it because it really familiarized a lot of people with how the way they came up with, seeing what was going on around them, drugs and things of that sort, circulating around neighborhoods and getting, passed around to, people that was in desperate need of trying to catch any sort of type of high to try to forget about their problems, and it really like destroyed a lot of people's lives and killed a lot of people along the way. And New Jack City brought that to the forefront of the importance of knowing that this is what's going on within the black community, but finding a way to stop all the madness of the drugs being circulated, of crack, cocaine, things of that sort. New Jack City, presented that and really like put it on the forefront and letting everyone know that this is what's going on in certain urban communities, local communities, and it would need to be put to a stop by putting this in a movie and letting y'all know like this is what's happening around us. So New Jack City presented that, not trying to people may say that New Jack City, kind of like glorified it, but I don't really look at it as glorified. I look at it as, putting people on notice that this is what's happening and this is what we can do to prevent it, since we know that this is what's going on. So to go into it, Damson Idris, an actor who always nails, his characters when it comes down to certain films of sort. And he starred in Snowfall as Franklin. Now, Damson Idris, he's really one of those actors that really he really keys in and locks into the character that, he portrays, as you should, but he takes it to a level of some sort of where it feels like he's dissecting each part of the character that he's portraying. So to see how he nailed the character Franklin in Snowfall, if y'all haven't seen Snowfall on FX when it came on, I'm quite sure On Demand probably have it still on there hopefully, On Demand. If you have On Demand or FX, the app, you could probably see if Snowfall is still up, to see how great of a job that Damson Idris played the character of Franklin. And he's going to be starring, allegedly, and I say allegedly because this is a speculation on this television series, but I feel like it would be a dope television series to present, and having Damson Idris playing no other than a young Wesley Snipes in New Jack City called Young Nino. It will very bring back that same circumstance, situations involving drugs back then, of it circulating within the black community, and him being, coming up in the game as the drug dealer, I'm assuming, because Nino, I feel like, honestly, Nino Brown, the character that was played by Wesley Snipes in New Jack City, the original film, he wasn't always a drug dealer. I feel like he got brought in by, seeing it, with surrounding him and growing up every single day, walking out your door, being introduced to it, and him tired of being poor. I feel like, pulled young Nino in to being a young drug dealer and trying to make it out of the situation, out of the hood, out of the communities of, the depths of hell that surround him by doing this. And I feel like, honestly, that's what's the story. It can't be no other than that. That's what the story is really going to be about. A young Nino growing up, seeing all this is what's going on around him, and trying to find a way out of the hood and he felt like no other way would be better than than to start selling drugs to be able to help his family, to prevent them from struggling and to help them get out of the situation they're in, whether it's his mother, and the move and try to create a better life for them. That's the only way I can see, the story of the television series Young Nino being portrayed allegedly by, because like I said, this is all speculation. This is all, just hearsay. But I feel like this should come out, and it says that the date is going to be February 17th on Stars. So hopefully that this is something that they should come up with or have been working on it, hopefully, because it will like reintroduce us to know that the importance and the killer of, certain drugs that, hurt the community within our, the black community, and knowing that, you have somebody that's going to be that knows exactly what they're doing by portraying a character as, a young Nino Brown, it will really bring people to having an understanding that, weed comes from the earth, and we're not talking about weed, but we're talking about the 80s. We're talking about the crack era, the era that, the cooked cocaine of crack being introduced and brought in through the Reagan era of within the black community and killing our people, so this situation with young Nino is not anything, if this does come out on February 17th on Stars, it's not anything of the glorified, but to really just pinpoint the importance of what this crack era in the 80s, what it really did to a lot of people. And thankfully that it stopped, because this was going nowhere, but to a deeper, bigger problem. And this television series, if they do bring this out, and if it does come out next year in 2026 on February 17th on Stars, it would really reintroduce of what New Jack City was, but showing you the roots of how it all came about with Nino Brown being a child and how he was brought into the drug game. Right, so Damson Idris, I can't find no other person that would be better to portray him. A young Wesley Snipes, a young Nino Brown that was portrayed by Wesley Snipes as Nino Brown in New Jack City because of his range. Another actor who I feel that would also do a great job with this is and I can never call this guy's name, but if y'all seen Raising Kanan, the last season of that, the guy who was going to be playing, y'all made it this far. The guy that's going to be over Tommy, a young Tommy and Ghost, that character, Breeze. The character Breeze on Raising Kanan. I can't call his real government name because I can't remember it off the top of my head. But the character named Breeze, him, I think it's Makai. I can't call his name right now. But that character to play Breeze in Raising Kanan, when Raising Kanan has the last season of that is going to be in 2026 as well on Stars. So y'all may want to look out for that because that's going out with a bang. Breeze is going to show a younger Ghost and a younger Tommy along with Kanan by his side. Going to show them the loops and the ropes of the drug game and introduce them and teach them the game as they, as they grow older. But that character Breeze of Raising Kanan, his range in this acting is out of this world as well. I feel like he can give Damson Idris a run for his money. So I can also see him playing a young Nino. But Y'all can let me know what y'all feel about this on Nino Brown, if y'all familiar with Nino Brown, New Jack City, and this whole television series, allegedly being in talks, coming out in 2026 on February 17th on Stars. Not saying that this is a real thing, but just to give your thoughts on what y'all would think, how this would turn out. Because if it's a television series, I feel like it'll turn out great because everything is broken down into piece. And you, like I said, this is not just anyone playing a young Nino Brown. This is Damson Idris. So we know that he got the range and the acting, and everything is going to be brought within the emotions and just the movements, and everything will be brought the right way, portraying a certain character. So, he's going to go in 100%. But that's all I got, y'all. Sensei Reality TV. Like and subscribe. I'm out.